Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Talking Skritt. I'm your host, John, better known as Deo around Yaxbin, with a fantastic show for you. Guild Wars 2 game director talks about loot boxes, the latest benchmarks are in, and does Guild Wars 2 need a roadmap? And much more, but first, let me introduce you to my fellow hosts. And in honor of talking about loot boxes, I made random, thanks to a random sentence generator, intros. So enjoy that. He streams over on Twitch where he answers the age-old question. Someone I know recently combined maple syrup and buttered popcorn, thinking it would taste like caramel popcorn. It didn't, and they don't recommend anyone else do it either. I wonder if that provided value and something players wanted. Say hello to Age.
I don't recommend it either. Like, well, it sounds good in theory, but no.
Sounds terrible.
And she writes for MMORPG.com and also her own site, MMORly.com. I'd rather be a bird than a fish. Well, it seems like neither of them would roar, so it kind of works. Say hello to Robin.
Yeah, I'd agree. Birds are better than fish.
Well, there you go. Look at that. RNG actually does work. We just proved it. Right?
Yay!
Oh, well, if you missed it this week, I know a lot of people have kind of been talking about it, especially not even... It's interesting. Well, let's jump into it. Massively OP, they had an article, or they put out an article with game director Kristen Cox. And for people that don't remember, I think she actually worked for Nexon or maybe NCSoft like prior, and actually worked on, I think, a lot of the RNG boxes for other, I think, games in that, I think Nexon. I'm pretty sure it was Nexon.
Sounds
but
like
that would make a lot of sense.
And because I honestly remember, because early on Rory used to always call them Cox boxes. So
yep.
So yeah, so they interviewed Kristen Cox and was asking different things about the free market and loot boxes, and some quotes that we pulled out. And if you guys I'll throw the article in chat in case you guys want to quickly read it, and maybe you find little things that you enjoyed or not. And if you're watching us on YouTube, we'll have links in the description, of course. But one of them was expressing yourself related to other people, showing off, making a visual representation of who you are is hugely important to a lot of MMO players. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So that was always very high on our list. She said, as for convenience items, Cox emphasized how the studio respected people's time and wanted to make items that could trade time and money if so desired.
So that'd be like was that like the gem store, like converting gold to gems type of deal?
I would guess, and maybe to the extent of like what we're seeing more recently of, or I think they've done it a couple times, not on every item, but there were things where it's like you could get them out of the loot crate and sell them, like they would be tradable, kind of like what they just more recently did with the gathering runes. So that. So I mean, however you feel about that.
I was gonna say, I would think that being able to trade gems for time saved basically would relate more to old loot boxes where you used to get the random boosters out of them that gave you the buffs, which would speed up your time spent doing the stuff like earning extra XP and stuff like that. That's the first kind of thing I think of personally, because you're essentially saving yourself time of like doing whatever X thing you got from the booster.
Yeah, it feels like loot boxes now, it's more of a lesson trading the items you get in the trading post, but more rather giving you items that you would generally want more often than not. I think that's what they're trying to aim for. I mean, you still get items that you could still like skin, like weapon skins and things like that. Yeah. But I don't know, after opening like recent loot boxes versus like a year or two ago, I feel like I get like I like stocking up like Black Lion scraps for tickets and things like that. I feel like
Me too.
I feel like I get a lot more less than that, and I get more other things that I can apply to myself rather than
Yeah.
getting things that I could sell. So
Yeah, I've always been kind of sporadic with them. So like very rarely am I ever opening a loot box trying to get anything in specific. I'm just randomly doing loot boxes to see what I'm gonna get, because doing it the other way is just too frustrating to me. I mean, the only time I can remember ever opening a loot box specifically to try and get a thing was when I was trying to get the teleport to friends that one day when they were working on the Dive Master achievement.
I hate Aether Blades so much.
Yeah. And I was out of them. And I think Deo was laughing at me because I kept being like, I got a Black Lion ticket. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, when you were trying to get the port to friends. I was literally going to say, like, because you were talking about how you usually don't try to get a particular thing. I was like, unless you're trying to complete a jumping puzzle.
Yeah, yeah, that one time. But outside of that, that's the only time I've done that. So I don't know. It's hard for me to relate on that aspect. I don't know. One of the best things that they've added to the loot boxes, I think, is the when you get the guaranteed
the statuette.
No, not the guaranteed. Oh. The thing that when you get it, it unlocks something from the wardrobe that you are guaranteed to have. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, like, that definitely was a nice
random,
addition.
But you don't pick what thing it unlocks, but it's still nice that you know that you will get something new unlocked. That's cool.
And honestly, for me, I like the addition of the beginning edition of the statuettes. I'd like to see them go further with it, because this is very similar to what I talked about in the past with ESO's crown crates, and they have their own little currency of, if you don't want an item from the crown crate, especially if it's like for them it's like potions or poisons or stuff you can apply. Like for us, it would probably be like boosters or some of those little things where it's like it's just valueless. Granted, it only like of course the amounts are higher, so yeah, the statuette thing the numbers would have to be adjusted. But for example, it would give you like a fraction of a statuette. So if you're not interested in these consumables that is going to fill up your inventory, you could just sell them for basically near nothing. But it is pushing you a little bit towards something you could get out of the, Black Lion chest that you actually wanted. They kind of did that in Guild Wars 2, where we get the statuette every time and it has old stuff in there. So
yeah,
I like that they implement the feature. I just wish they would go a little bit more. But
I also think that they did a good job with the statuettes of implementing the price per thing. The things that are more expensive, it makes sense to me that they're more expensive, and it feels like a right amount to me. Like, I mean, like I said, I rarely open them, so looking at something that costs 100 statuettes feels like that'll take forever. But at the same time, when I look at what the item is, it's like, I can understand it.
Yeah, I agree, Wispy. Like, I wish they could add more things to what you could buy with the statuettes, or cycle them out more often.
Don't cycle them out. Too much cycling out. Just add more things. More pages.
Well, I know that's always a limiting factor for.
I know.
I agree. Add more tabs to the merch, if anything. And this actually kind of brings me to the Gemstore note itself. I know, like, Malfanis and talked about this a lot, but in terms of just new and returning items, it'd be nice if some of those things got on sale a lot more often than not, and not just return, so that incentivizes people to buy them a lot more. Because I honestly didn't know that a few things came back or are on sale. Like a bunch of minis came back this week, and if they're on sale, maybe a lot of the people who collect minis every now and then would just go like, oh, this is a good time to actually buy minis and things like that.
Or like at the very least, like the first week something's back, have it on sale. Just be like, ooh.
Yeah. I wouldn't even mind like a couple days. Like from Tuesday to Friday, this item is on sale. That way, people will have to like, oh, this might go on sale sometime, so I'll just store up some gems and save them up. So that type of thing.
Make it till Sunday just so we can talk about it on Talking Skritt. Don't end it on Friday. I mean, just an idea.
There you go. But yeah, it'd be nice if there were more like the older, like not the newer items, obviously the older items that come back. It'd be nice if they were put on sale so that people can get them. And it'd be also nice if they could somehow find a way to add more, have more space for items. Because I kind of understand the concept of creating scarcity in that respect, so that people have to pay attention if they want certain things from a jump store. But at the same time,
well, the other thing is when there is a lot of things on the gem store, when you go in and try to find a specific thing, it can be annoying trying to find it. Even with the redesign and they've made it a little better, sometimes when I'm looking for a specific thing in the gem store, I still get frustrated because I'm like, I don't remember what section it's in, and I'm like scrolling through all of this stuff.
Do they have a search bar on the gem store?
Didn't they have a search bar?
I'm trying to think now, because I would say implement a search bar. The internet's a big place, but I use a search engine. Like, honestly, because I was thinking that, and I was like, because I'm on that side. I want a big gem store. Like, Rift is not shameful of being like, we're gonna put as much stuff in there so you buy something.
Yeah.
Like, and they have a search engine in there that is very elaborate.
I thought the search on the gem store for some reason had some weird limitation to it. Like, I don't remember what.
That's why I'm trying to think. I was like,
yeah. I mean, you might be right. It might have something weird about it, but I don't use it because I just usually buy whatever's on the front page of anything.
If it's not on the front page, Age is not interested.
Yeah, or I'm buying like a Bank Express thing so that I can like get rid of all my gems. Like,
so I can get rid of all my gems. Hey, don't worry. You can always just send them to me if you need to get rid of them.
Right?
I mean, I'll find a use.
Handouts.
Yeah. It goes on to talk about Cox admittedly was more fuzzy in trying to define an ethical, non-painful loot box experience, as she said that it came down to treating players right and not making them regret a purchase. But she said that she hopes the government does not get involved in regulation. So first off, I think we should take that first part of like, she said it came down to treating the players right and not making them regret a purchase. I've seen a lot of people kind of saying like, oh yeah, I feel like you feel great after getting like, some of the lower tier things after opening like 5 or 20, insert number here chest, like, and still not getting their desired thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you guys feel about that?
I agree with that. Like for the round of loot boxes that I bought, I felt like, but it's not like I'm sad about it at all, because I did get some stuff. I did get some Black Lion scraps for tickets and things like that. So I'm like, I got some good stuff out of it in the end.
I think it depends a lot on the mindset you go into with loot boxes. Like, I don't know, like it's what, like I was saying, going in wanting a particular thing, it makes it harder for you because you're dealing with RNG. It's just difficult. And I mean, there are ways to make loot boxes just abusive to your player base, which I think, despite what some people might complain about, ArenaNet's done a good job of not doing. So for the most part, but yeah, I think the individual player's mindset going into a loot box situation has a lot to do with things.
Yeah.
Also knowing yourself, like I know me, like, so here's an example. I don't play Hearthstone at all. Like I don't really enjoy playing the game, but I love opening card packs. Every time I get free card packs, I'm like, yes, I'm going to go open those. That's fun.
You're like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is.
I just like seeing the way the cards flip over. It makes me feel good. So I know if I played that game more, I would spend way too much money on the cards because I would just want to keep opening packs. People get like that with loot boxes too, and like you have to be able to moderate yourself on that kind of stuff. And like there are definitely predatory practices game companies could take part in to encourage that, but I think most of it falls on the player to deal with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think in particular when it comes to loot boxes or just RNG in general, it's like you have to understand that you may not get the item you want, but you have to be okay with like what you could possibly get.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you only want this one thing and the rest of it means nothing to you, it's a bad idea.
See, but I'm fine with that if it's a casino game, because the action you're doing is swiping a credit card or basically putting money into the system. Now, because, you know, I'm sure people will say, like, well, the game's full of RNG. Yeah, if you run a dungeon, you might not get the drop you want, but you're not putting money into the, like...
Yeah.
Like, I think that's where at least I feel crummy about it. It's like, that's the difference between me playing, you know, an MMO at home and going to a casino and playing a slot machine is I'm throwing money into it, hoping I get, you know, the desired outcome, whereas I'm investing time and spending, you know, running a dungeon. It's like, that's more expected, but I don't know, I guess does it have the same... Yeah.
Yeah, it's an investment of time versus an investment of time and money.
Yeah.
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 But it's
Wispy brought up a thing about the wider games industry, and that's like honestly the real thing here. There's been a lot of attention towards EA and a lot of the big companies doing crappy things lately. But really, if any of these lawmakers or whatever were really interested in like tackling the real problems and the real predatory practices, they'd have to go into the freemium mobile games, because that area, oh my god, like they rake in money, ridiculous. People always downplay how popular mobile gaming is, but I ride the subway every day. I am constantly surrounded by people playing games on their phones all the time. It's all people do while they're on the train. All kinds of people too. It's not like limited to a specific group. And then you got kids playing these things, and the way things are set up on some of these horrible games is like you're just tapping a thing and then you tap to buy something, and it's just done in there right with it. Like, so that's, I feel like the attention is misdirected a little bit. Like, yeah, EA did some crappy stuff, but they're, in my opinion, they're not the real problem that needs to be addressed first.
Yeah,
and I have heard that argument that Chad is bringing up about AAA games now cost millions, and with inflation and like costs, like it should be around $90, which you are correct, but
to some degree for me.
Yeah,
I'll talk about it after, but go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I was gonna say the problem with that is, could we trust the game company if they charged us $90 to not do that? Because honestly, I'm okay with a cash shop of like cosmetics, but I want to be like, if I'm buying this, I'm getting this, not I'm buying this for a chance at this.
Well, I mean, part of the thing with the price of games too is there are specific price points where gamers in general, like gamers as a whole, are willing to pay X amount of dollars for this kind of game or this kind of game. Like, they have a very definite value of what a $20 game should be versus what a $60 game should be. And getting them to buy just a game, so not like any digital deluxe or collector's edition or anything, just a regular game at a price point above 60. Every time a game company does that, it's always big, huge backlash. Like, it has to be justified to us why that game is worth more. It's just the number that's been stuck in our head regardless.
Oh yeah, I remember the whole debacle when they bumped it from $49.99 to like all games were like $59.99. It's like,
and that was just a $10 chains.
Yeah. So when it comes to prices of games, it's a little bit more for me here. But I have I can't complain because Australia just gets like, I think it's like double over there. So
yeah,
pretty
Australia kind of gets shafted on anything gaming. Like,
yeah. So me in particular, when it comes to AAA games, I have to know the game is worth buying in order to like me purchasing it, because like for example, Assassin's Creed Origins, I was probably going to get that no matter what, but I got it a lot earlier than later because I heard good things about it and it played well. So that's one reason I got it. God of War, for example, I'll probably get that, just not probably a little bit later, but I heard good things about that as well. Like Anthem is coming at like there's plans for that game. I don't know if I'll ever get it, but I'll pay attention, see what comes up. I'll probably wait till post release to see, but I might get that too. And the thing is, with DLC and with cash ops, things like that, I understand that there is a need for extra funding in that respect. I don't necessarily think it needs like a ton of funding than they're letting on, but I understand that there needs to be extra offset for like all the things that they add, like better graphics, motion capture for actors, things like that. But they also don't need to add things like movie stars and things like that either to make the game good, right?
Yeah.
So there are certain things that I agree with, but certain things I don't, that could influence the price of a game. So
yeah.
And Chad, you're saying, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say there's a lot that goes into like the cost of a game too. Like besides all the production and all of that, you also have all the marketing and whatnot and those expenses, and the costs of marketing a game, like depending on how you do it, can be absolutely astronomical and ridiculous. And it's still an important thing because, if nobody knows about your game, nobody's going to buy it. Especially when you're doing a AAA game where you're putting millions and millions of dollars into it. You can't like release a big AAA game and not have anybody know about it. Like that is just unsustainable, because the chances of enough people randomly discovering your game and then telling other people about it and saying, hey, you should check out this game to get to the amount that you need to sell to make back that money, you're just dealing with too high of numbers. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of constraints. A lot of issues.
Yeah.
Well, I would say, Chat, what you're saying is, and games as a whole gamers as a whole have spoken. They do not, want the price increase, so they have to do loot boxes. That's like going 0 to 100. Like there is stuff in between. Like I said, I'm not like against the cash shop. Like I'm fine with Guild Wars 2 if they didn't have these loot boxes and were just like, oh, a new outfit came out that is 700 gems or whatever, or an armor set that is 800 gems. I would like to see some of that stuff also in the game as well, here and there. But I mean, I know that it has to have that balance, but it just seems like pretty much everything goes into loot boxes in kind of Guild Wars 2 and in other games, not just Guild Wars 2. I mean,
yeah.
So it's like that bad feeling of, okay, oh, I really like that. Oh, and they don't put the percentage drop rate, at least in on the NA servers. I know with like China clients and stuff, they have to really put that number out there. But it's like you're not telling people their chance at actually getting the thing. They're just like, just look at the shiny. You could have it. It's like, it's kind of a deceitful practice.
Yeah.
But
I'm not saying that that going from $60 to $90 is pretty expensive, and I totally agree that offsetting that via like a cash shop or loot boxes is a way to offset that. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that for some cost of production of video games, like this is like without like upgraded graphics, without all the physics and things that you mentioned, like I'm mentioning things that don't necessarily have to be in the games to inflate that cost.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually the price for games will probably go up again, just because like VR is getting better and things like that. But I don't want to get too off topic, but it's just it's going to the games are going to evolve and become better, but At the same time, they're trying to offset prices as well. It just, you need to offset that in a way that doesn't make the consumer feel like they're being ripped off, essentially.
And I mean, honestly, to kind of move it on to that next thing of, and I totally agree with it, is, you know, she said she hopes the government doesn't get involved in regulation. I do too. I don't want the government involved, because honestly, the only reason they'll probably get involved, it's not for the children that are gambling, possibly gambling. It's so they can make money off of it. Like,
yeah, they want a piece of the pie.
Exactly. It's, you know, if they're willing, if, you know, if any of these companies that are labeled as gambling through loot boxes are willing to pay probably the license fee that they're going to have, they'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, you can do it. Like,
yeah.
And they're, you know, they're counting their money. Like, oh yeah, how did a kid get that game? Oh, that's a real shame. Someone should do something about that. I'm just counting my money here. Like,
yeah.
That's, you know, it's, so I don't want the government to do it, but that was also the whole reason of the ESRB with the whole rating system, is so the government didn't get involved. It's like, for some reason, the ESRB and PEGI are just not trying to police this, which, once again, that's made up of kind of the gaming industry, like developers, you know, producers, you know, a whole.
And I mean, there are issues with that too, but like, it is still much better than what we would end up if it was a government regulated system.
Yeah, which is what I mean, is like, you know, people are saying it's on the gamers. No, it's on the game industry. They're trying to police themselves, and now they are, it seems like they are failing. So this is the unfortunate, possibly next step, which I don't think anybody here that is gamers should want.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. Because like, if you look at game ratings, that was one issue that came up like years ago, and you know, we came out with the ERB system, and that like made it okay. Like, that was the threshold in between, like, preventing governments from getting involved. And now we're going to have this problem again, and I don't know if the ESRB will actually intervene at some point, because I feel like they might have to. We're on a slope where Europe at least could possibly see some sort of regulation for games and gambling. So
they're already heading that way. So
yeah.
And like you're saying, and loot boxes work, they are selling a lot to a small amount of people. Yeah, you know what else also works and is sold to a lot of like small groups? Like drugs, addiction. Like it's, you know.
I knew you were gonna say that. I was gonna say he's gonna say drugs.
Yeah, it's like, you know, we call them whales, but you know, they're potentially addicts to this.
Well, I mean, yes and no. Like,
it does depend. It's case by case, but
yeah, I mean, if you're just spending your disposable income on it, then who the fuck cares? Like, spend it on whatever you want. But yeah, there are some people who can't control their, you know, impulses, and that's what I was saying. Like, it's something that you've got to be self-aware of, and how you need to handle and what you need to deal with, because it's not, there is no way to regulate that, you know? Like, you can't.
And
with Chad, that's what I was going to explain, was it really depends case by case, because it, you know, you have to look at, because with addiction, it, you know, you're looking at dependence on a particular thing. So there are actually qualifications for that, for like alcohol and actual drugs. We might have to see that for gaming loot boxes. I mean, like, you know, it's like, are you missing work for this stuff, or are you living paycheck to paycheck? It's kind of going what, like, Robin is saying. It's like, yes, if you have disposable income, you know, it's perfectly fine. You can kind of get that, you know, little chemical brain reaction of opening that shiny box and seeing the pretty colors and then seeing the junk they gave you. But, you know, there are a lot of stories out there where it does look like, you know, actual gambling addiction, which, you know, even, and this is according, you know, with America, we're not quite there of defining gaming, gambling, as
Yeah.
gambling yet, but
Well, I mean, there are still people arguing whether just even normal gambling
Yes.
is really an addiction or not. Like, people cannot come up to a consensus on that. So that's going to be like a long thing. And then the video games have become a part of that too. Like, if that's a real addiction or not. There's not going to be any resolution to that anytime soon. For me, honestly, my issue with loot boxes comes in when games put power in there, because then it feels like that you have to do them in order to play the game and keep up. That's the big thing to me over everything else. As long as there's no power in the loot boxes, I don't really care that much.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Let's see if there's a lot we could talk about, but I think we should probably move on.
After show.
We're gonna get stuck on this again for
All
the
right.
5th time.
Yeah, this is why I'm kind of over just talking about loot boxes personally, because everybody has their opinions and no one's willing to budge.
Mm-hmm.
But
as long as we're willing to listen.
Yep. We'll always end up possibly agreeing to disagree, but maybe if we want to keep fighting over it, we need to look at our builds and do more damage. Speaking of doing more damage and looking at your builds, Snow Crows just put out their updated their raid benchmarks on Reddit. They talked about the top 3 large hitbox contenders there. Berserker Condi DPS sitting at about 41,000 damage, average about 40,000. Weaver Arcane Staff raid rotation 2, 40,000 205 max, about 39.5 on average. And Weaver Arcane Staff raid rotation 1 at about 40,000 024 max and about 39,300 on average. So
Elementalists are dead.
yeah, wasn't staff a horrible change for the balance?
It's dead. No more staff.
See, it's fine. It's perfectly fine.
I still don't like. I tried it the other day, just running around staff Ellie, and just to see if it was any better than I remember it, and I still don't like it. It's not a play style I enjoy.
Yeah. But it's the like Bjorn said in chat, we'll talk about it a little bit later, but Berserker Connie DPS didn't change all too much, but it's very dependent on large hitbox sizes. So like the large hitbox. So it's like, I think it was like 3 to 5 fights that's actually excels on a lot.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said large hitbox, so
Yeah. So
well, how many raid bosses are there now total?
3. Well, raid bosses or raiding counters?
Probably raid encounters is a better way to do it.
That's saying 17.
Yeah,
that's about right. So like,
sounds about right.
Yeah, 3. Yeah, it's probably right.
Yeah, 17 raid encounters with LI rewards.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how many of those have large hitboxes? Like,
I'm not sure. Someone in chat will say.
I think most of them do.
Most of them have.
Usually, when it's just one giant, one entity, you're pretty much, because we have the ones where it's like you're fighting the bandit camp. It's like that's not going to be. But like things like Gorseval and
KC, I think. So, someone in chat will tell me anyway.
But chat's also saying without 100% alacrity uptime, it also does mess with that. So chat's saying 7.
7.
Yeah, there you go.
That's not bad. I mean, it's still more that are not, but
yeah. So if there's a place, but yeah, I see. Like I said, Weaver is perfectly fine. Lost I think you lost like 2k DPS.
Yeah. End of the world. Reroll.
What about small hitbox too?
Well, the small hitbox, the top 3 that were successful were Spellbreaker Power, which is at 36,790 max and on average 36,300. Weaver Arcane Staff Airglyph variant. He is hitting at tops of 35,637 with an average of 35,100. And then Weaver Arcane Staff Fireglyph variant. 35,498 max and 35,000 on average.
So what I'm hearing is you should just go Weaver Staff and then adjust depending on what boss you're doing.
Yeah, sounds about right.
My
It's
gosh.
broken my. Anyway, yeah. Still fine.
Yep.
Still fine. It's like you're not top DPS. You're just above average.
You're
just-
above average
you're
at
second
everything
place.
that you do. Like
You're-
small
you're-
hitboxes, large hitboxes, doesn't matter.
As long as you're elementalist.
I will admit though, like Cutie brings up a good point. It does require you to know your rotation well to
Yeah.
actually do damage. Because
Yeah.
I tried it. It's
Which-
freaking hard.
Honestly, is the way it should be. To be top ranking, whatever, do the best DPS and stuff, there should be a skill cap. Like, you shouldn't be able to just 80 boost some class, throw on gear, and go and be able to get, top potential DPS. That should not be a thing. Especially since raids are supposed to be, like part of the challenging content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah.
So I feel like at that point we kind of talked LE to death on that one.
LA lives forever.
Well, so is Necromancer? Like, I didn't see Necromancer anywhere in there. Are they dead? Dead game? Dead Necro? Which would be fitting. That would make it more powerful.
Depends on the fight, to be honest. For average groups, like it's good for like Mercado Overseer, where you just have to stand there and epi. Basically, fights where you want to epi and have condition, at least like a decent amount of condition damage. I still think it's fine for the average group.
I saw who was it I was talking about? I saw somebody talking about Scourge being able to, with their circles and stuff, completely negate certain abilities that some bosses do. Like, I think they mentioned Veil Guardian screen circles as a specific example and stuff, which timed right and done well can be a big help. So, like, on that aspect, they could be useful. Utility.
I can see that. Yeah. It's still, the damage is pretty much the same. You usually bring it for the utility, like for the barriers and for the epi bounce. Yeah.
All right. Well, what about the Mesmer? I saw people earlier in chat talking about with the confusion changes that was screwing up people's rotations now. So
Chrono's pretty much the same. Mirage, it's probably back to where it was 2 or 3 patches ago, I think. So since they have the confusion backs on Axis of Symmetry. So you just gotta time your burst rate, and that's it. Pretty much.
Cool. What about the Power Reaper should be brought on par with Power Hollow.
They keep buffing aspects of Reaper to like try to make it viable. I don't know what the plan is for that. I don't know. Yeah.
Apparently the only thing you do now is ambush, according to chat for Mesmer.
You see, because Axis, like if bosses are doing long channels, confusion's kind of worthless. Because, they need to be activating stuff. So that's
okay. What about the Guardian? So it looks like Firebrand conditions pretty much didn't have any change. we get love for the core Guardian and Dragon Hunter. Maybe for the people that don't have POF.
I mean, I think Firebrand's okay. I think it's in a decent. I don't play much of the power versions of Guardian, but
Oh, Chad is saying base Guardian is now a thing on par DPS with Dragon Hunter. That's good because I never liked Dragon Hunter.
Yeah, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, so it's still pretty much in the same spot, but at least for Firebrand, I know it's in a decent spot. So
nope. Now Chad is saying not on par, it's superior. We're having fights. Both of you will take your Guardians and fight at 10 paces.
Huh. Do they use staff in that build? Scepter? Not staff, dear lord.
Yeah, Guardian staff build making well, I was gonna say making comeback, but I think it would have to be there first to make a comeback.
Yeah.
You can equip a staff. That's
the next elite spec.
Keep ages up all the time.
Dual wield staves.
That's interesting. I might look at that. That could be very interesting. Nice.
What about Renegade? Or Revenant and Renegade? Looks like. Did they get some love? Because Renegade really needs it. Revenant in general really needs it.
Shortbow got buffs.
Well, that's good.
So I think it makes the rotation better.
It looks like Mace Axe is the go-to for most damage, but Shortbow is good for range stuff, of course. Shocker.
Okay, so yeah, not much to say, to be honest. I mean, like, it's like the buffs to Shortbow skills will makes it a little bit better, and well, it does make it better in general, just because you can rotate a lot better.
What about the Warrior? I mean, we talked a little bit about it with it being kind of certain builds being in the tops depending on hitbox.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on the Warrior?
Chat will follow up if I miss anything, but basically, Core Warrior is apparently best for banner. If you don't have wrap up damage fights like Casey, something like that. Spellbreaker power builds with Great Sword and Double Axe. You can use Empower Allies with that, but you do need extra precision. With Spellbreaker with Mace Axe and Axe Dagger, it's the better option DPS with the Discipline line, and it has a lot of CC. But it's not really the better than like Weaver, because those pull ahead because of large hitbox, or Skritt would that be? So.
Cool.
Yeah, it's actually better for Doom. Yeah, I remember reading about that.
What about the Ranger? I know a lot of people were concerned about the Druid healing. Like I remember last week we were talking about Druid healing's dead. Everybody was like, it's dead. So I have one question. Is it dead?
No, apparently you were over healing in fights as it was. So it's like it just brings it down, but you're just over healing in most encounters instead of all of them. So it's still fine for raids.
But it's dead. That's what everybody was saying. It was dead.
Maybe for roaming, but
what about the other specs for Ranger and Druid? Like,
Condi's hard. Druid Condi, it's like you need to be on point about it. It's better with like Necro for the FP bounce, obviously. Druid Pass is pretty much the same. Solby's Condi is still pretty much the same too, I think, because I don't think any of the weapons actually change. Maybe they got a few buffs here and there, but I think it's relatively the same.
Chad is saying Condi Druid is dead, basically. Well,
Yeah.
it seems like it's best with Scourges, which it's never a good thing when you're like, yeah, you're great if you have another person basically there of a particular build.
The thing is with Connie Druid, you literally cannot. You have to be on point with your rotation, and that's kind of the thing that makes it dead, because there are things you can't necessarily commit to, and like the ramp up damage for the Connie Druid it takes a while. So
yeah, even they were saying it's kind of a niche pick. It kind of almost sounds like, what was it when the raids first came out and it was like NG kits, where it was like, switch to this, do these 3 things, then switch to that, and it's like
yeah, it was amazing if you had like 5 hands.
Yeah, so it's like, it's not a bad thing. I mean, if you have to be that, like, it kind of goes back to what I think it was QV was saying is, if you are better at something, you should be able to be pulling out more DPS if the game is based off of, being able to play skillfully.
if you have 300 hours on Druid Condi, then maybe you could do it. I mean, but sure. Yeah, Boga I think is still busted. So
what about the NG? How do they fare?
Rip Condi NG.
Really? Is it that bad?
I think you don't even take pinpoint distribution anymore. I guess for if you have more Condi people in your group, I guess, but you don't really bring core. I have not seen core engineers that play in Condi anymore. It's mostly Hollow-Smith right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. What about the Thief?
Oh, you don't take pinpoint anymore, even a full Condi group.
Oh,
wow, rip. Deadeye rifle's just not worth it. It's too clunky. You just bring double dagger if you're gonna bring it. And Daryl Condi's pretty much the same. Staff is nerfed because of all the aura spirit changes.
Oh, I know a couple. Isn't it sometime during the week you raid with a couple of the other people? What do you actually take in normally?
Before the patch, I was running Staff Daredevil or Rifle Deadeye. But now, if I was going to run Thief, it would be either Double Dagger Deadeye, or if we need Condi, Daredevil Condi. So yeah, pretty much those two, because those two are I can safely get around the benchmark, but it's because with Staff it's not going to be pulling as much damage, sadly. And the rifle is just too clunky to make that rotation work anymore with the Death Judgment, because that's what you depend on for a lot of your damage. So.
Do you play any of the other professions when you go raiding? Because I know you used to switch between a couple. I mean, or are you just solely Thief at this point?
No, I play. I'm trying to pick up Chronomancer a little bit more. It's really weird how it plays now, because I haven't played that in a couple months. I've played Firebrand at times. I've played Necromancer, the Scourge at times, a little bit of Revenant Condition at times. That's pretty much it. I need to learn Weaver.
You need to learn what?
I need to learn Weaver eventually. That's gonna take 10 hours of me doing that rotation in order to get it done.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Any final thoughts on the Snowcrow's raid benchmarks?
Ellie's dead.
Yeah. And do remember, this isn't, make it or break it. You just find the right group.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much everything has a place depending on your group.
Yeah. Yeah, I think It's interesting because this meta actually introduced healing scrapper, which was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there's a lot more secondary healer options, which is pretty nice. It'd be nice if there were secondary tank options as well, but
Yeah.
that'll just never happen.
Why?
Right? Just because Chronomancer is so good at its job.
Mm.
But yeah, I think everyone has a 30k plus build. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there you go. But you pretty much bring a warrior or weaver.
That looks like that is it for the benchmarks. But if you're maybe more inclined to some World v World news, we actually have a little bit of interesting stuff. On Friday, Ben actually posted on the Guild Wars 2 forums and said, "Hey everyone, we're currently looking to make some siege revisions. Sorry, not renovations. We'd like your feedback. I know several posts have been made in the past, but we'd like to get the feedback in one thread for review. One note on our part, siege should continue to be an important part of World versus World. We don't want to make a change that would make siege useless. So let us know your thoughts on the current state of siege and what you'd like to see differently." So my question would be, what would you like to see done with siege and
Siege.
Siege.
That's how the cool kids say prestige. They just go siege.
Oh.
That's a good question.
I was gonna say I haven't been in one in a while, but the last time I was in one, I don't remember there being really any siege stuff being used. So
I think it's still the mentality of like servers, like
yeah,
and maybe what time you're on.
That's true. It probably has a big deal with it.
My problem with current sieges is not actually used. Like some of the things aren't actually used as siege.
Mm-hmm.
Like catapults are just like literally placed next to walls, versus like a flame ram, which would make more sense in like reality.
Mm-hmm.
But as for changes I would want, I would kind of want, I guess, the siege traps to be a little bit more effective in terms of how I use them. And I guess this doesn't necessarily have to do with siege, but I want it to be able to, when people take down walls in World versus World, you don't usually build it back up in case people have like siege in like another tower or anything. But I wish there was a way to counter that.
Yeah.
So like if you build back the wall, like it doesn't take damage for X amount of time or something, so that they have to go to another wall or something like that.
That would be good. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, like Uncultured Savage is saying, it really depends on the servers. Some tend to throw down carts every time a fight starts, even in open field encounters. And yeah, I definitely have seen that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or like the person in the back line, as everybody's charging forward, will throw down an arrow cart.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I guess it's very odd too, because it's kind of like a throwdown and then build and then either you just use it. I don't know. Siege doesn't necessarily act as like real life siege, I guess.
So that's kind of interesting. What JB Cool brought up was just make all siege drivable. Turn them all into like mounts. I mean, we're looking for like a mount aspect in World v World, but that would be interesting if certain ones could be like drivable, or an upgraded version could then be drivable, but maybe slower, or they'd have to balance it. I mean.
I don't know. Yeah, it's That's an interesting question. I'd have to honestly spend more time thinking about it. But just the one thing with the walls that I mentioned is kind of one thing that always bothered me. Because like when I see a hole in a wall, I want to repair it because I don't want people coming through out of like respawn.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's no point because the instant I try to build it up, someone's just gonna like use a trebuchet or a catapult and knock it down.
Mm.
And I know there's the golems. I was just thinking maybe other things as well, but also QED, like, look at any kind of big battles. That's basically siege warfare. I mean,
I don't know. It's making I guess it's just making siege be siege,
Mm-hmm.
but not impact. But also, you don't want to impact the Zerg fights that people enjoy. I think that's one thing. So I'll probably just like sit back and watch suggestions, to be honest. But I can't honestly think of anything other than.
I mean, QD, that's actually not ridiculous. That's actually happened in real life where if you have the fortifications, a smaller group can withhold a bigger group to a certain extent. I mean,
yeah, that's kind of the point of those things, is to help a small group hold out longer.
So you would counteract with your own siege.
Yep, basically.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a roamer. I don't really deal much with siege, but I'm just basing off what I've seen, to be honest.
I look at it, build it, and then they tell me not to touch it. That's the closest thing I get to siege. After capping requires the cappers to repair any walls or doors they knock down, remove the tactic, destroy gate destroys on supply on capture. Honestly, it's one thing going back to this is what I liked about Cyrodiil, ESO Cyrodiil, which is basically their world, is when you break into a place, when you capture it, yeah, the walls are still down, like. So it is one of those things where then you have to, maybe as you're capturing it, leave a couple of people back to be like, be at that wall and start repairing it. If you are trying to get it quickly and they're like still fighting around them. But yeah, I've always liked that aspect of, it's kind of a more worrisome thing, but they do have a different system of carrying supply than Guild Wars 2. So I don't know how both would, translate.
Savage brings up a good point. Like, don't allow builds where people can't hit the thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of important. I think there should be counterplay. You should be able to kill siege with your own siege. But you can't have one person be sieging and not be untargetable. I think
I agree.
That's a bit much.
Yeah, because it's like you finally it's like, oh, I see we can't even do anything. Okay, it's just gonna rain arrows.
Yeah, I think and I know there are spots like that because I've seen them, and I think they just, I don't know if they should have like siege spots, I guess, instead. I don't know if that would be a good idea or not. Like not like limitations of like you can only play siege here, you can only play siege at this spot or near this spot. I think like just like a general area where you can play siege, and that would like span out, and then like obstructed like places they would disallow type of deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be better just to disallow the obstructed places, because I don't know, the creativity with where you put stuff is part of it. Like the flexibility of all of that, it plays in well. It just, you shouldn't be able to put it where nobody can like a target and attack it. That shouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
I would like to see, this is how ESO does their rams at least, which I guess could be part of Siege. The amount of damage you do is dependent on how many people are standing next to it, and it's up to like 6 people, like because so and it shows like on the at least in that game it shows like a little bar of like your icon, like your faction icon, and depending on how many are lit up, that shows how many people are standing next to it. Which, so I don't know, I've always liked that aspect, but I mean, we kind of achieve that with the talent point system, I think, with but I don't know, for trying to generate new ideas for the game. But the problem with just disallowing certain spots is that the creativity of players to break the game is unlimited. Very true. And well, I mean, with anything in this game, they'll have to continue to keep doing it. But
yeah, honestly, because that's exactly what they'll have to do. Unfortunately, I think like World vs. World is pretty big in terms of that, so it's just finding all the spots is going to be impossible. And when people find new spots, they'll just have to patch it as soon as they know about it.
Mm-hmm. But any other thoughts on World World Siege revision?
Yeah. It's Siege is very particular when it comes to World vs. World. I remember from the last time they tried Siege changes, it didn't turn out so well. So
yeah,
we'll see what they come out.
I'll say whenever they try anything in World v. World change wise, people get angry about it. So
yeah, unless it's XP bonuses, then
yeah.
No, I'm sure someone out there complained. I'm not going to be able to play on that time. But it's nice that we had this update. If only we knew about like these ideas ahead of time, right? Like a roadmap. Speaking of a roadmap, people are asking on Reddit that does Guild Wars 2 need a 2018 roadmap?
Yeah.
Agrees with Reddit.
Answer that question. Next up, the jump store.
I mean, I don't know. I was always a big fan of the roadmap, giving us a general idea of what the plan was, have something to look forward to.
I was gonna say I liked it, but I don't blame them for not doing it because where's our legendary crafting and all?
Well,
like,
I mean, there's a balance. There's a balance, right? Like I think the one that what year was it now?
26. I want to say it's 20. The idea was to beat these things for 2016.
That's right. I think Colin Johansson did one at the beginning of 2016, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
Anyways, whenever he did that, I thought that one was really well done. It gave some specifics, but not too many, and it just gave us a general idea of what we had coming to be excited about, as opposed to just, oh look, it's a thing. Cool.
Yeah. And Bjorn brings up the actual point of like it kind of blew up in their faces when things didn't come out in that way.
Well,
and I think
when they did it the first time, like even before then, when they started talking about redoing the legendaries and all of that and how you get them, that did. But I don't remember anything from the January one that Colin did really blowing up at them.
Yeah, because they did try another one again, and I don't think, like, I'm pretty sure I agree with Arlie here, is when they did the secondary one where they were just throwing out ideas and weren't saying, because I think in that first one they were talking about precursor crafting, like they deliberately said like a feature, whereas I think in the other one they were like general ideas. So if they stick to general ideas, maybe that will be better off instead of saying like, we're changing this about Siege, and then it doesn't pan out. It's like, what? No, you said it and we liked it.
Yeah. I think when it comes to roadmaps, what they need to do is prefix saying, like, this is a general idea of what we want to do for 2018.
That won't help. I think they actually did that for those roadmaps, and people were just like, no, you wrote this. And
the thing is it needs to be specifically general in that, basically we're looking to expand this concept as opposed to by doing XYZ thing. They need to give us areas that they're focused on and what their goals are on that we can look forward to and what they're working on, as opposed to saying, oh, we're implementing build templates or something,
Okay. So what Jaibu is suggesting is small roadmaps. Would that be better?
Yeah. I personally like every 3 months or something would be a good one. Like, this is where our focus is right now. Is what we're looking at,
Yeah. I think I would like a roadmap as well. It's just there is like a bunch of news that comes out. For example, like for PvP, there's the 2v2 automated tournaments that are coming. For Wars World, there's a restructuring. For for PvE, there's Living Story. We already know that's like 2-3 months cadences. But it's kind of like ideally the next 3 months, like what's coming out, because they're like there hasn't been any new raids for a while now. I think since November, I want to say.
I don't remember the raid came out.
I can't remember, but it's been a while.
It's been a bit.
So I was just wondering what was up with that, because I think was it this week? I think I saw a bunch of clamoring for a new raid. Yeah, November episode 1. Okay, so yeah, and that's the thing. Episode 1. I don't want them to necessarily tie in raid with like an episode story.
Yeah, I don't think in general they're going to do that. I think that one was just literally both things ended up being ready at the same time. So they
I was gonna say, because the story wasn't really related to episode 1.
Yeah, but I think they just want to bundle that content all together at once and just ship it out. But I think I don't know if they want to do that or not. I honestly don't know. But if they're planning to do that, I don't think they should.
Yeah, I don't think that's their plan. My understanding from the raids and the thing is that they will work on it, and when it gets ready, they'll put it out with whatever patch is going out at that time.
Yeah. And kind of QD brings up an interesting point. And I'm thinking about this too. Would you like more bonus weekend event? Because like I know Black Desert Online has like on the weekends they do like double XP bonuses, things like that.
I was like, that's what Guild Wars 1 used to do, and we were kind of talking about that when they what was it, last week when they did the weekend. What didn't they do something for the weekend in Guild Wars 2? Like 2 weeks? Yeah. Was it 2 weeks ago or something? It's all like a blur now.
I was like,
but yeah, we were talking about it, kind of like reminded me of like Guild Wars 1. It was like, so yeah, I'd be interested to see like bonus weekend event things. 3 weeks ago. Okay, Chad is saying.
Yeah. I'm kind of the weird one on those, because those kind of weekends never motivate me to play any game that they're in, even if it's a game that I normally play. Like, I didn't play Guild Wars 2 at all on that weekend while I had it going on. Just not because I was boycotting it, but I just didn't happen to play. It wasn't enough of a reason for me to be like, oh, I need to do that. And every other game that I played that's done that, it works out that way. I mean, it's great if people like it, but for me personally, it's not a motivator. I'd rather have like things like Dragon Bash come back or things like that, you know?
Event stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a mix of events that they've had that could be reoccurring in addition to like bonus weekends would be really cool. Like twice a week or something. They can do a XP weekend.
I mean, I agree with Robin. I would probably prefer to see them somehow try to bring back these old events, which, I mean, I don't know the back end or anything, but if they were able to have a separate version of, because these are like map-wide metas, a lot of these living story things, if they are actually functional in the current version, I mean, we kind of had that moment, like the beta, when we had the Battle Royale? What was it called? Hunger Royale or something like that.
Yeah, Hunger
Royale. They used
Royale.
Battle Royale and Hunger Games. It was something like that. But
so
basically
good.
it opened a portal on the map that people went through to open a copy of that map. It's like, what, like with the story of things coming through the mist, like we had that Aether Blade Char in the I forget what zone it's in, but that where he had us test all the fractal like it was a current event. It was a while ago. Where we were testing all the like displacements or something like that. What if like that led into like a portal open that took you to that old version? Like I said, if the maps can still function, like that throughout all these updates. But I would like to see like those map wide event meta events return like that, and it would be a good opportunity for those people that missed season 1 where they're like, what's this big metal robot looking like thing, and it's like, oh, that's the marionette. That was a cool fight, but you're never gonna but, or like, oh, I would love it that all of a sudden it was like there's a fissure opened up in Lion's Arch that's like the Battle of Lion's Arch. I would love to see the Battle of Lion's Arch. Like, yeah. But like I said, it's all dependent on, like, because we heard that kind of with we kind of heard that with the issue for so long for the Super Venture Box. It was based off of all those broken mechanics.
Yeah, and then they fixed them.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like that's been so far removed as there's so many old versions. But if there is a shred of possibility those maps are somewhat close to being functional, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. And Marionette was on the Battle Royale train even before they knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that? There's one event in the oh my god. The Halloween event.
Okay.
Mad King says?
No, I was trying to remember what the whole Halloween event in Guild Wars 2 is called, and my brain just went
okay. Cool.
Whatever it is. There is one event in there that was there like the first year, maybe the second year.
Oh, yeah, where we
back.
Basically where it ended up, as you can see the video on YouTube, but I think it was Shadow
of the Mad King?
I think so, because it led up to him cracking through the spoiler for something you can't see anymore, except on YouTube. It did a cutscene where, and you had to be standing there for it, a giant Mad King just busted through the fountain at the time, the lion in the fountain at the time.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to see stuff like that again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is more events during downtime.
At least for me.
Weekends.
Yeah.
And even if they're somehow returning, like we said, we got the fractals that are time and space, wibbly wobbly. Like, you can cheese it. You can make it towards lore, and it'll be okay. But any other thoughts on the possible, or your thoughts on the possible roadmap?
Smaller roadmaps would be nice.
Yeah.
Just to see where you guys are at. Like, we can, like, near future is good enough for people, I think.
Like, just give us an idea of which direction they're steering the ship right now.
And yeah, Wolf Strike, even the Karka event in LA, like I said, it could be smaller of these little one-off events that we had. It just really depends on, like I said, probably the map and if they're functional. But we may not have 2018 roadmaps, but I'm not a dev, but I could guess we're probably going to get more Gem Store stuff. Speaking of Gem Store stuff, always thank you, Dolphy.net. Check out Dolphy.net so you can spend your gems more wisely. First up, we have the Choya logging tool for 1,000 gems. It's one of the unlimited gathering tools. So,
yay!
Does it have a special rune attached to it? I guess we now have to ask, because
that is a good question.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I guess that's one of the new things we have to ask with the new system.
Yeah. Does it do a thing, or is it just an animation?
It has Glyph of the Prospector. Grant 33% chance to receive bonus ores while gathering, in addition to your gathering results.
Cool.
Now, they say bonus ores, so even though this is a logging tool, you are going to get ore, or is it just bonus resources? That's probably...
I would have to imagine it would be resources.
It says Prospector. That's very...
It's ores, so while you're logging, you get metal too, I guess.
That's weird.
Interesting.
Oh, sorry, Brent. Here you go.
But yeah, you can pick that up for 1,000 gems. I mean, it will unlock this look across your accounts, but the tool itself, you have to kind of switch between your characters.
Yeah. Oh. But I haven't messed around. I haven't really messed around with these new glyphs like consciously, but sure, get ores while you're getting wood. There you go. The actual animations of it's it's Choya. It's very memey. I like how it just backflips into nothing.
Oops.
But yeah, so you could probably pick that up if you so desire. They also updated the Evan Nashblade decorative package for 3,000 gems, 3 days left. I think they updated like some of the things you can get out of it, if I'm not mistaken, like some of the wardrobe things that you can choose from.
Just accidentally punched my mic.
What did it do to you? Yeah, they said you'll find an updated Black Lion Universal Outfit ticket, a Black Lion weapon arsenal, a Black Lion key set, 2 Dragon Watch die sets, and a makeover pack containing a total makeover kit and transmutation charges. So, not too shabby for 3,000 gems if you so want all that stuff.
Yeah, that's a weapon arsenal. Oh, okay.
Phalanx armor.
Use this item to select a weapon type and receive a random black weapon skin of that type. I guess it's good for like beginner players. Get them a little bit of stuff. I kind of introduced them to Black Lion keys. Oh, but you do get a golden Black Lion key with it. You get 10 Black Lion keys and you get 1 golden one.
That's how they hook ya.
Yeah. That's yeah.
But also you can, if you want to catch up to all the current events, for a limited time, the Living World Season 2 Complete Pack and Living World Season 3 Complete Pack are on sale for 20% off. If I'm not mistaken, that still should, if you have a couple episodes or whatever, it fluctuates in price. So you're not going to like technically pay for episode 2 again because you unlocked it.
You'll just see a reduced price below that when you go into it.
Yeah.
So definitely pick that up if you haven't. I mean, and make sure to keep update. Like we have 3-month gaps now, roughly 2 to 3 month gaps. All you gotta do is log in one time. You don't even have to play the content. You just gotta log in and it'll unlock it for free. But if you do need to play catch up, like we said, you can get them for what, 20% off? Yeah, 20% off. So pretty good deal.
Pretty sweet.
Returning are all the pass keys, for 6 days only, 1,000 gems apiece. That includes the Captain's Airship Pass, Royal Terrace Pass, Noble's Folly Pass, Lava Lounge Pass bundle, and the Mistlock Sanctuary Pass key. So
nice.
Do any of you guys have those? Would you recommend them?
Mistlock is fun because you're at 0 grav.
If I didn't have the Royal Terrace Pass, I probably would pick up the Mistlock one.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have the Royal Terrace one.
I do not have any, but if I were to pick up one, definitely Mistlock.
Some minis that have come back for 350 gems, the mini Avatar of the Tree, and a bunch of minis for 400 gems, the mini Black Bear Cub, the mini Hippo Calf, the mini Jaguar Cub, the mini Angry Chest, the mini Arctodus Cub, there we go, mini Bear Cub, mini Fox Kit, mini Snow Cougar Cub, mini Lion Cub, mini Moachick, mini Piglet, and mini Polar Bear Cub.
Yay.
Yeah.
Do note the mini Piglet is not the golden one, just the superior of the two. But yeah.
Lies.
And if I'm not mistaken, isn't the mini Angry Chest the one that also gives you like a kind of quest in game that you?
That's I think so.
You get another mini for it. So
pretty sure anyway.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, it has like it's like, oh, there's something in the chest, and you kind of do like a little quest line thing. So for that one, if it's the one I'm thinking of, you kind of get 2 minis out of it. So it's definitely a good deal if you're into collecting all the minis.
Yeah.
Harley.
I have them.
Don't worry, Magnus. Maybe one day, knock on wood, we'll get Polymock and we'll use the minis.
and your strength with your minis will be decided by how many minis you have.
Wow.
Jeez. Well, then I will never be playing Polymock because
Like,
you
I
have 3.
So much pay to win right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh god, I could hear the internet exploding. First loot boxes and now this. Ah. ArenaNet, have you been bought by EA?
Yeah.
But yeah, any final thoughts on Gem Store stuff?
I was gonna make a pun for that last bit, but I'm gonna stop.
Okay.
Go for it. Go for it.
Okay. I was gonna say at least it's in the game. Just think about that for a second.
You gonna let that hang out for everybody?
All right, EA Sports.
Oh.
Oh.
Not
okay.
really a pun, more of a reference.
Oh.
But because Polymock's in the game.
Yeah. It's not.
I tried, okay?
It's
That's what
okay.
I'm gonna say.
Moving on to community corner. We've talked about in the past the guild I always mess up the name. Skritt. If that's not your name, that's how it should be pronounced now. I have decreed that, and I have no jurisdiction on it whatsoever. But we talked about in the past how they do fractal guides, builds, like gear optimization for pretty much fractals in particular. I think they do other things, but that's kind of like the chunk of it. And I unfortunately, we were talking about it earlier because QED was the one that was talking about it, and unfortunately Malthanis couldn't be here today, but I know he's the one that like kind of has been usually keeping a close eye on it, and like always would give them feedback. So maybe we'll revisit it next week to just get his thoughts. But what are your guys' thoughts on it?
Basically, if you want to keep up on fractal meta, it's a good site.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much all there is to it.
Yeah, it's a handy tool that you should maybe just have on your bar if you're ever interested in fractals. Maybe heading into fractals, you can have a good idea, like I said, with the guides, and then also with the builds. And there's nothing stopping you of tweaking them. But
I do need a warrior build now that I think about it.
there you go. I know this one site that you could probably try.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Any final thoughts on that?
If you're having trouble with tier 4 fractals, there you go.
Oh. And just in case, I'll throw it in chat, just so people can go. Next up, we have the May Unity Gaming Organization 5v5 PvP tournament from Unity Gaming Organization. North America tournament. The start date will be the May 20th. So watching this live tomorrow. If you're watching this on YouTube and you just probably started it does start at 11 a.m. So probably if you watch this as soon as it hits your inbox, well, let's not say that because YouTube's not the greatest at that. When we normally put it up at 9 a.m. Pacific time, if you hit it right then and there, you could probably just coast right into it. And it will be on Jebro Unity's or Jebro's page, which is twitch.tv/JebroUnity. So definitely check that out. And if you want to see the European tournament, the starting date for that will be June 3rd. And the starting time will be 6 a.m. Pacific time. And once again, it will be on Jebro's stream, twitch.tv/JebroUnity.
There you go.
My only gripe is, so the May tournament takes place in June for EU. Interesting.
That's because of probably automated tournament, I think.
Yeah, I know. I'm just... It's the only thing I could have complained about. But if you're fine with that, you know, which I would imagine you will be, you should definitely check it out. Also up, the Tyrion Tarot Guild Wars 2 collective that we've been talking about in the past. Apparently there's been an addition. They've been knocking it out of the park, continuous like things added to it. But ArenaNet apparently has graciously offered to add official concept artworks from the Guild Wars 2 game to the guidebook as stretch goals, from $91,000 to $100,000, and it basically works as one artwork per $1,000 reached after the 91,000. So,
yeah,
wow. And I think did they already reach the 100,000? So,
Nice.
yeah.
Wow.
I think they're around like 107,000 now.
Nice. Yeah, and chat's already telling me they reached it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is still 4 days left. So if you do want to get any of this stuff and all the previous stuff that we've talked about in the past, and like I said, you can definitely buy in now and get all these goodies depending on, you know, how much you throw into the pot. So, and heck, maybe if you add to it, they'll be like, we need another stretch goal, and there could be another goodie.
There's 3 days left. I don't think they'll add another one.
You never know.
That'd be crazy. I literally thought with all the extra stretch goals they added, there's like, aren't you stretching yourselves a bit thin?
You said it's at 107? Come on, Arena. It looks like you want to put stuff in there. 110,000. Abaddon Fractal.
Wow.
Come on, Arena.
People will probably go for that too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, their last stretch goal is at 120,000. Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Is it the Abaddon Fractal?
Man, that is intense. Wow. But that project got a lot more involved than I thought it would, which is, but it's not saying it's
good
a bad
on them,
thing.
because it is going to, you know, some of the stuff's going to charity. So don't be silly. How do I ban people? No, I'm kidding. So yeah, so you know, that is a pretty lofty. I mean, they've made tremendous strides, but 120,000, like they have to do 13,000 more in 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be amazing if they can.
Possible, but
yeah. Like I'm kind of interested to see. I'll have to definitely keep an eye on it, because this has grown such legs on it that it's at 120,000. I can't wait to see it.
An official gravestone for Abaddon game. His face. Oh man, that was great.
Well, now he's broken for the rest of the show, so.
Well, I mean, speaking of Abaddon and remnants of them, our last community corner thing was a video called "Elsewhere: The Desolations" by Flirde. And basically it takes like scenery of different areas, and they kind of pick the desolation, and they show off, I think, the Mouth of Torment, you know, a bunch of other things. Of course I was drawn to that. I don't know why. But it was definitely very beautiful looking. I was kind of curious if they actually used like what are the programs, like Reshade or whatever, to like get like better.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure. I tried to look through the description. I don't think they had it, or I don't think they ever mentioned it, but I would imagine with how it looked. But if you definitely want to go check that out, we'll throw the link in chat, and of course it will be in the show notes. But I am kind of curious, like while I enjoyed it, part of me was like, I can go these places. I don't know what it was I mean, maybe if it was like if they could ever get like a deal with a game where it's like they get to see like show off the stuff early, because it was of the quality that you would see like maybe in a game trailer where it does like the pan of like scenery, but it's just like for me I was like I couldn't go there, so I don't know. I'm personally curious, like what's the draw for people to watch those types of things? Maybe they don't own the game, or
Yeah.
I don't know. It's for me, I was like, those are great looking places. I'll go and look at them myself.
But like it's if you don't own the game, it's like, oh, this is a pretty game. What is this game? And then it kind of goes. You go on a trip from there.
Yeah, which is why I would hope, like, maybe if this person gets more popular, maybe they could work out deals with, let's use Guild Wars 2 for example. Like, next expansion's coming up, they can go in and maybe take some of those nice looking stills or paintings.
I don't know if I would like that. Like, I would probably want to experience it for myself first, right?
Okay. Well, I'm just saying it looked very much like something I would see from like a game trailer where it's like when a game releases a trailer.
Okay.
Of gameplay content where they kind of do a pan over the landscape. So
maybe like one map, I guess.
Okay.
Would be okay with me. Yeah.
But definitely, go check it out. And I know they had some other ones. I think they were doing. I saw a couple of ones recommended that were like Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, and stuff like that. So. Definitely go check them out. Any other thoughts on anything?
I did look up the last stretch goal for the Tarot Club. So it's like 15K confirmed minimum charity donation, another additional pin, glow in the dark tarot cloth gift to all contributors, 2 more illustrations in the deck and book, hold 25 more in post campaign store for a total of 75, and additional wallpapers in the digital pack.
Cool. It's a lot.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So go them. Good luck.
Godspeed. And so that is it for this week. Age, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at Age Night Road. I'm putting on the finishing touches on my Dead Eye video, which I'll put out later tonight. Vlog later next week. I didn't stream a lot this week because I signed a lease for a new apartment and I got all that done. So I'll be moving in July. So I might miss an episode depending on when I get my internet set up. But yeah,
inexcusable.
I'll try. I don't want to miss daily. I'm gonna get my internet as soon as possible.
Oh yeah, you won't miss your dailies. Oh boy.
Oh my gosh.
I gotta make my legendaries.
Well, congratulations on your new apartment.
Yeah, thank you.
And Robin, where can they find you?
On Twitch and Twitter at Arlie82, and then also on MMORPG.com and Gamespace.com. Yay.
Awesome. And you can find me at simply_Dale on Twitch and Twitter. And if you're popping at the very end, we do highlight this on Twitch. But if you want to watch this on YouTube, we just search Talking Skritt. It's usually the first one that pops up. And that's if you're watching this on YouTube. It goes up on YouTube Sundays at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. And if you're watching this on YouTube, if you are able to make it out Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, and you can hang out in the live show, chat it up with everybody. And we do a bit of a pre-show and after show, so that's more where we can talk about gaming in general or continued topics. But and also, if we kind of did a little bit of announcement last week, if you haven't seen that video on the YouTube, definitely check it out. If we made it kind of a big red thumbnail to make it more visual. It's one of our videos. It's only like 7 minutes long. We don't have any of those, so feel free to look at it like that. It's a pretty short one, but we always love to hear everybody's feedback. And I would like to thank this week from our hosts on Twitch, SOTD_podcast, which is Shadow the Dragon podcast, Guild Wars Monk, Ada007, Serene Virus, Jaibu Cool, Hypnotic 1, Garaz MOG, Maple Syrup and Beers, Gallios _ Shardblade, That Chevron, Host of Ascalon, 7-Bit Brian, Moonkiller NV. Oh no, it just switched to MMO Inks, and I think that was everybody. I hope so. And come hang out on our community Discord. Links in the description on YouTube and in down below on the Twitch page. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming out, and we will see everybody next week. Goodbye.
Take care, guys.